please welcome your first competitor from the Netherlands, William the Conqueror Bonac.
And now we come to the payoff. We're going to bring in to the conversation our expert commentator and trainer, Mr. Neil Hill, who's all too familiar with this guy coming to the stage. He's been third in this competition, won the Arnold Classic, and Neil, you've worked closely with him. This is a time where you get to sit back and analyze what's been going on with one of your proteges over the past.
Well, this is our first look tonight at William Bonac. Before a little while from now, we get to the confirmation round.
I've never really been a fan of the guys that walk back and forth and kind of arm in the air, begging for applause. I know Dexter does that. Kevin Levrone used to do it, but I'd like to see a more choreographed routine for the fans. And I told you last night he qualified by way of winning the Romanian Championships at the end of the year in November. And again, you're only as good as the guys you stand next to, and this is where we could find who's a little bit weaker in certain areas, and clearly at the front, I'd go back to Romania and try to defend that title and get another victory under my belt, because we're in the middle of September. I think another month and a half, he might be back where he was a year ago when he actually qualified for this event.
Yeah.
Making his long-awaited Olympia debut from Iran, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hadi Choopan.
Well, guys, this is one of the big stories of the week, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he brought night over night.
And he's traveled the furthest of any athlete in this contest for his moment in the light that he's been chomping at the bit for quite some time, and the fans have been waiting to see the arrival of Hadi Choopan.
For me personally, I feel the introduction of this gentleman to have the opportunity and step on stage to represent himself, his home country, and all the different William Bonac, because even though structurally they're different, it's like a Kai Green and a William Bonac.
Yes. Well, he didn't disappoint after taking that long trip from Iran. The Persian Wolf.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the Czech Republic, Lucas Osladil.
Lucas is a former Arnold Classic champion of Brazil. A couple guys have that title. I know Brandon Curry's got it, and Kai Green's one down there. He's got a very unique way of flexing his glutes. There's only one way here, and that's by victory. He's beaten a lot of guys, and it looks like he's still got some gas in the tank. But again, Neil, I'm one of those guys. I'm constantly looking at the midsections, and he's got to stay in control throughout his routine.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Michael Lockett.
I'm really happy to see Michael get into this top 10, because he's an athlete who I feel has brought a level of conditioning to shows consistency. I do feel that he's a little bit down on his legs in some areas, because he's obviously got atrophy on his right side, etc. But he brings an amazing...
Yeah, you can see he's strong in the arms for sure. And the legs are something that may never catch up. But again, not everybody can be Mr. Olympia. But heck, if he can go knock off some of these victories in the other shows, more power to him.
Egypt, Mohammed Shaban.
We mentioned earlier that the last real well-known Egyptian was Mohammed Makawi, who was barely 5'5", 160, 170 pounds, but he was a two-time Olympia runner-up and defeated the great Lee Haney in the 1983 Mr. Olympia.
And one of the best poses of all time.
Absolutely, the magical Egyptian. And now we've got Mohammed from Egypt.
Pose. Do your routine.
That's it. And you know what? There's a large percentage of income and revenue you can generate if you perform it properly to be in demand in other places around the world.
Our next competitor is competing in his 20th Olympia. 29 pro victories to his name, and your 2008 Mr. Olympia. Ladies and gentlemen, from the USA, Dexter the Blade Jackson.
Dexter made his Olympia debut in 1999. You know how much stuff has happened since 1999? And this guy's only missed one Olympia. This would be his 21st if he didn't sit out one year. Some kind of record. I don't think it will ever be broken.
For me, I feel that Dexter is one of the greatest all-time bodybuilders. And the reason why I say that is just name me an athlete which has been consistently at the top, won all the major titles you can possibly can for such a long time. I don't know anybody. Absolutely exceptional. Have we seen, is this the best of him? No, it isn't. But what he's presenting himself on stage is unbelievable for the industry in itself.
And to give it perspective, there's going to be a lot of guys going home that just got their butts kicked by a 49-year-old bodybuilder.
Don't you like how Dexter takes 10 minutes to get out there, then he runs off the stage? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, the King Snake, Steve Kuklo.
He's got to be one of the happier bodybuilders coming into tonight, because his dream at the press conference was a first call out, Tim, and he got that yesterday. He is the Brandon Curry of last year, getting that first Olympia call out. Very nice skin tone and color on his posing trunks. Good selection.
Now, night over night, guys, we see that first flex of the chest. Did we pull some of that water out?
Yeah, and I think that's what gave him the confidence to know that he could actually survive in this as a professional. And now he's vying for a top 6 spot for the first time in his career.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the United Kingdom, Luke Sandow.
Guys are warming up backstage, just getting the last bit of nerves out. And this guy right here is a breath of fresh air. The last guy coming out of England was the Shadow, Dorian Yates, and of course Flex Lewis was living out there in Wales and doing his thing. This is the next thing coming out of England. I first got my preview of him at the Arnold Classic this year when he got 3rd place, which was a huge accomplishment because he took a lot of guys out in that contest.
I feel that Luke is doing a great job representing himself in the UK. I feel that what he puts out there as far as content, one of the strongest bodybuilders in the world. Whether you're into strength or power, you can't help but be motivated.
Everything is a little bit more laborious to get to, and that's where the stomach comes in. Good showing, though.
Give it up for Luke
First Olympia.
Sandow.
First Olympia, that's very exciting.
Nothing to be ashamed of here.
If I had an award for best inspiring newcomer, I would give it to this next competitor. Making his Olympia debut from the USA, Patrick Moore.
And this was the guy, Tim, last night we were talking about it, he was overlooked.
Yeah.
They did some crazy call-outs, and I'm like, they are leaving this crown jewel out. He is a little gem. Look at how he walks, and you see the feathers in the quadriceps.
Beautiful feathers.
He's Ronnie Coleman-like back when Ronnie Coleman was coming up as an amateur. Tiny waist. He's got the detail. He's going to have to pull that Ronnie Coleman thing and just blow up one year and surprise everyone. He would be that dark horse in the future.
Yeah, he's pretty light as far as his frame, so he doesn't carry a huge amount of muscle, but that frame has the ability to carry a lot of muscle, and you know that when he...
Nice job, Michael Lockett.
Nope.
Patrick Moore. Patrick Moore.
We don't all look alike.
Nope.
I can say that, Tim.
Patrick Moore
And
from
you're
Texas.
a comedian. You got jokes.
Moore.
Yeah, no, I think Michael Lockett would like to look like this. This guy's got genetics, man. He's got it all going on.
My notes are alphabetized. They're right next to each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Cedric McMillan.
All right, I said at the press conference, I said, why do they call you the one? And he said that one of the guys in the gym said, he's got a bright future in this sport. You're the one. Like Neo from
The Matrix. That was a great story.
Yeah, and he bought into that and believed it wholeheartedly. And look, he's here again. Cedric McMillan won his pro card by winning the national championship some 11 years ago.
You know, the frustration thing about bodybuilding is that people have weaknesses with genetics, shape, structure. But this is a guy who could have won the Olympia so many times, or certainly been a main contender if he...
Arnold actually really loves him some Cedric McMillan, and we bought into the idea that if this guy dried out one time and won the Olympia, it would be a game changer. I think he doesn't necessarily have to be Mr. Olympia. He's changing the game right now.
Alone from the U.S. Army, Cedric McMillan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, John De La Rosa.
John's actually one of my athletes. We started working together earlier on this year, probably January this time. Kind of just missed our peak a little bit yesterday. We didn't bring our best. I feel that we made some great improvements from John's past couple of years when he stepped into Toronto and also the Puerto Rico Pro. But I feel that we brought probably about an 85-90% of our best
USA championships overall. And he's not a big guy. He's about 5'6", packing on probably 230 pounds of muscle at least.
I think that's exactly what they put him at.
Yeah, he's 230 exactly, guys.
Yeah, I think he's just going to have to take a break, like you said, and come back.
From the USA, Juan Diesel Morel.
Your two-time New York Pro champion, Juan Morel. He's also won the Arnold Classic in South America in Brazil.
Obviously, Juan was coming into this show after a couple of wins, I believe. Obviously, won the New York Pro.
Yeah,
and I know obviously seen a number of pictures that he was posting coming into the show.
Only a fan favorite, but he's a favorite to the athletes he competes against. There's that vascularity trying to come out, but it's a little too late.
Juan Morel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Brandon Curry.
So here's the question. What has Brandon done in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, because he had to know he's up against, some stiff competition. Top heavy, right? I mean, those shoulders and arms and lats, just some serious muscle. I imagine he believes that he can win this contest, Neil.
Brandon, William, Rowley, those were what I would say the main competitors coming into this show with equal ability to win the show. I feel that yesterday, structurally, just an absolute beautiful art, especially his upper body.
Look at those biceps and lats. He's playing to his strength. You see how he's doing the lunging poses? We were talking about his hamstrings being slight. He's choosing poses to accentuate his strengths, and they're working right now.
You see some feathers starting to develop in the tris as they bow down, but they are just really sweeping like they're almost hamstrings. Those triceps are huge.
Yeah, Brandon is a former Arnold Classic champion. He also won over in New Zealand and in Australia, the Arnold Classic there as well. Was the very first Arnold Classic champion in Brazil. So he's got 3 of those titles on 3 different continents, but the one that he's standing alone, I'm much more impressed with him right now than what I've seen previously.
Up for Brandon
and this
Curry.
is where the rubber hits the road in the comparisons.
Gentlemen, I think we're down to Rolly Winkler.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the USA, Akeem Williams.
You can't miss this guy. He's probably the biggest bodybuilder, pound for pound, on stage. I always refer to Akeem. He's just like a silverback gorilla, just muscles on top of muscles. We mentioned who was Victor Richards, the Nigerian nightmare, who never was a pro bodybuilder, had all the potential, but this guy actually delivered.
And when he does a front double bicep or he does a front lat spread, just phenomenal taper.
He's got those wide, high lats, very funky kind of a look, very unique. I can't really... nobody wanted anything to do with Dorian Yates' style of training. Akeem could throw around some weights, but I don't think he wants to do what Dorian did.
Well, he looks happy to be here in the top 10. Good on him, and congratulations for all your hard work.
And your final competitor. The People's Champ right here on this stage last year from Curacao, Rolly Winkler.
It's easy to see why he won the People's Champion from a year ago. Rolly travels the world and does everything. He sells out on the stage, going out into the audience to please the fans. 3rd place was his best finish last year here at the Mr. Olympia. Tumbled a couple of spots in March at the Arnold Classic, had a knee injury. Then he went on the guest posing circuit, and we saw glimpses of the future that Rolly was going to bring us. But last night, Tim, we noticed that he was a little bit watery. Neil, did you see the same?
Yeah, there wasn't the best of what we've seen of Rody Winkler. I think the best I seen of Rody was last year's Mr. Olympia.
Yes.
I feel he's made some improvements since yesterday. He looks harder to me.
You're off, and you still have a chance to be the top 4 in the world.
Give it up for the beast, Rody Winkler.
We're going to see.
And now we get to the payoff. This is what you pay the big bucks to see. We are probably potentially looking at the next Mr. Olympia in this call out right here.
And I don't know if you guys saw that as we were talking. Cedric and Patrick were having quite a moment of some great camaraderie and some great encouragement.
It's going to be interesting where they start placing these, where they're going to start moving these athletes around. They start doing that.
Hottie and Dexter switch. Well, I got to tell you,
Hottie, I believe, is in the conversation. These judges are going to play with us right now. They're not going to give away this show. Like going 1, 2, 3, like, you know what I mean? We're not going to figure it out right away. But I mean, I keep coming back to what Brandon is bringing. He's probably one of the more improved bodybuilders over the past 5 years.
This is a pose which really Brandon dominates tonight in this quarter turn. He's got so much depth through his hamstring and his thigh. He's got that upper body, he's got that mass, that shoulder, he's got that.
And you see the width difference between William and Hottie. We were talking earlier. This is where Hottie really is bringing it to William Bonac. So now we've got to look next to Hottie over at Brandon, who Hottie is right there.
Hottie's lived up to my expectations, seeing him in the flesh, as well as, you know, pictures and videos, etc. And let's go back. He was a 212 athlete. Progressed, moved up, came into the open class, made a massive impression.
You want to hear something crazy? Dexter Jackson started out his career as a bantamweight.
wow.
He's a full-fledged 230-pound bodybuilder now and has an Olympia trophy, 9 Arnold Classic Championship, 29 victories coming from the bantamweight division.
Front back spread.
And it looks like the veteran Dexter Jackson has actually improved in the last 20 minutes between the first round of posing.
Yeah, I actually believe that Dexter is battling it out with Rolly Winkler for 4th place.
So at the moment, guys, it looks like first and second look like it's between potentially Hottie and Brandon.
That's where I'm at. I was going to say that just before you said it, which would then leave William as the odd man out fighting for that 3rd place spot. Who would have thought, Neil, about 3 years ago that we'd be talking about Hottie and Brandon Curry potentially posing down for the Olympia title?
But this is what it's supposed to. This is supposed to be an international sport for everybody, and unfortunately, obviously, with issues between countries, it's forced the gentleman away from having the chance to prove himself as a true Olympia competitor, and he's really made a great impression here. Him and his coach, Harry Rambod, they've done a great job.
Guys, I gotta say, I love the open title this year, and I love the fact that it is just wide open to who brings their best.
Well, let me tell you, the whole weekend's been great, Tim. I mean, what Dan Solomon has done with Tamer El Gundy producing this show, and Dan Solomon presenting this competition and bringing his entire crew and staff here together. This is probably one of the most memorable Olympias that we've had in a long time, not to mention it's historical in nature. Crowning of a new Mr. Olympia, which we witnessed a year ago with Sean Roden defeating Phil Heath. This one has a little bit more suspense and hype to it, because these are guys that were never supposed to win the Olympia. These are guys we weren't going to be talking about as a Mr. Olympia winner, and now they're in the conversation.
In addition to what Dan Solomon and his team and Tamer have done, 650 plus competitors for the amateur Olympia this weekend.
Massive shot. I think that's the biggest one that they've had. And again, what I was saying earlier is, like, 6 months ago, Hottie didn't even know if he can get a visa to come into the country. And you got to train through that, hoping that you get it. Can you imagine he looked like this, and a week ago they tell him no visa? We would have one of the best bodybuilders in the world sitting back home. And it would be a whole different dynamic we're talking about tonight.
Now, Neil, what was that switch we just saw with Dexter and
William. Yeah, to me that tells me that the number 1 and 2 is definitely the battle between Adi and Brandon, just because of the situation. Otherwise, you would put William potentially in the middle of those two and put him in the center and compare him between those two athletes. And if first, second, and third in no order is those 3 athletes, then they're totally different shapes and structures. Look at them.
Well, don't be surprised if Dexter Jackson pulls up into 4th place.
Yeah.
Because he's made better improvements than Rolly did overnight. I believe I firmly got Steve Kuklo in 6th age.
So this is your top 3.
And guess what? None of them are over 5'7". The last guy to win that tall was Dexter Jackson in 2008. It's been 11 years.
Brandon Switch. Well, we know that top prize is $400,000, but second and third, $150,000 and $100,000 respectively.
Steve Weinberger's playing with us. He's got them all moving around like a magic act, not letting anybody get comfortable in their positioning.
I definitely feel that Williams had an injury on his right quad.
Well, I could tell you, that didn't slow him down, because a year ago he was a little bit watery, and he wouldn't have been in this lineup. I believe he was 4th last year, yes?
Yeah. Yes.
And he is the benefactor of not having a Sean Roden and a Phil Heath and a Big Ramy in this competition, because the injury, however slight or even noticeable, he's still going up against a 49-year-old Dexter Jackson that didn't bring his A game, and a potentially injured Rolly Winkler, who's slightly off too.
William was actually 5th last year. Brandon was 4th.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With Rolly in 3rd.
Either way, he's the benefactor. William is the benefactor of certain circumstances involving the other athletes right now. And it just goes to show you, you can't put on a show unless you actually show up. And it's a hard road to get to the Mr. Olympia.
William was 4th last year. Roden, Heath, Rolly Winkler, William Bonac.
Correct. Thank you for correcting that. William is making note of how big his arms are. They are big, but the judges can see that. Calm down, William. One of William's best body parts is his arms, and he was definitely making sure the judges were noticing. You see they keep inching closer to him. There's a reason for that. The closer you are to the judges, the more three-dimensional you look. But they are smart enough to keep them in the best lighting, to have them on the line so that no one has an advantage.
Okay, now, I just saw an earpiece on Hadi Chupan.
Yes, he's had difficulty hearing for quite some time. A lot of people are trying to he looks like he's trying to read your lips. He doesn't speak English. And so what do? We talk louder, thinking he will understand, but he's got a hearing impairment.
That's a phenomenal pose for William. Any rear pose, he is unbelievable. And personally, me, I have him winning the rear poses.
And you can see that his glutes are very tight. But this is where he loses it. He just doesn't have the width, and that's the genetic thing. Hadi and Brandon are killing him on this lat spread.
And they're getting worked.
And they should. This is what we paid to see. We want you guys to fight it out. That's why you have to practice, practice, practice. Long before you get here, you'll notice some guys start to shake. It's because they didn't practice the posing. It's the hardest thing to do when you're watching your carbs. When you're doing extra amounts of cardio, you get lightheaded very easy.
So you have to do this at home when no one's watching. So when you get here, it's easy. And Steve knows. He's had put some of the world's best bodybuilders through these poses, so they're trying to buy time. And Steve's like, let's go. And he should. Work for it. There's the back heel. Hadi's the only one to pull off that back heel. And you'll notice the bodybuilders are posing slower. They're trying to buy some time. I personally feel that William's made some good changes. I feel he's hotter, he's drier. But at the same time, Brandon's made some good improvements. I think Hadi's very similar, but shows consistency. I think that Brandon, as he poses, he's breaking a slight little sweat, which gives him that sheen. That was a great top 3 right there. Didn't move Brandon.
Gentlemen, pose down.
All right, William making a move.
Yeah, and this is what the fans paid the big bucks to come and see. At the conclusion of this, we'll see the crowning of a new Mr. Olympia. And Tim and Neil, we found out, courtesy of RX Muscle, Dave Palumbo, said that the very first the very first men's physique champion, Mark Anthony, is actually Canadian. So he is the only Olympia winner out of the country of Canada.
Dave Palumbo's new baby must be asleep.
Exactly. Well, this is what these guys come here for. It looks like they're having a good time up there. They're out of gas right now. It's a long, long weekend. You can see Rolly's a little bit defeated. A year ago, he had a little more pep to his step, especially when it came to the pose down. But Heidi's bringing the rhythm. He'll probably be in the club a little bit later on. Dexter the Blade Jackson, top 5 again. Good grief, 20 years in the making.
Well, Steve Weinberger really put him through the paces, didn't he, Neil?
Yeah, he definitely did. But as I said, Dexter, this is not the best version of Dexter, but this is better than last year, and massive respect. And as I said, I think he's the greatest bodybuilder of all time for what he's achieved and how long he's been in here, consistency, all those titles.
Yeah, definitely the record does bear that out to be a fact.
Well,
but I will tell you this, Brandon Curry has all the confidence of a new Mr. Olympia champion, to be sure.
when they're done going at it head-to-head, we're going to go to a break as they make their way to the diagonal, and then we're going to find out who is our 2019 Mr. Olympia champion.
Well, don't discount what William has brought. I mean, he's not at his best, as Neil alluded to, but you're only as good as what you're standing next to, and this contest is going to continue to be decided at the 11th hour.
Right after the break, we're going to find out.
They're sharing the stage right now. A lot of times, Tim, and you haven't never experienced this, Neil, you either, I'll talk from experience. During the pose down, these guys want to try to please both sides of the stage. They're moving from one side, posing up close for the fans with their cameras and cell phones, which they didn't have when I was competing, and working the stage the opposite side so these fans can get close to the action.
For me, from the prejudging yesterday, I had William slightly in front. Then I had possibly Brandon and then Hattie. That being said, I feel that Brandon's made some improvements since yesterday, same as William. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very close here.
It is. I'm slightly leaning towards Hattie.
The fifth place award, the check for $40,000. And presented to Rolly Winkler.
Gentlemen.
Well, there you have it. Dexter, the vampire, is still alive.
The 49-year-old was not fifth.
Well, that's the question, Neil. Did Rolly drop that much, or did Dexter improve that much? You said Dexter's a better version than he was a year ago.
I feel that Dexter's made improvements since last year as far as that conditioning, and unfortunately, obviously, Rolly has gone backward in that area. Sure, not from the lack of effort and hard work, but unfortunately, you miss your peak and it can hurt you come contest day, and obviously this is proven here.
All right, Kevin from Almax will present the fourth place award. Please take the fourth place award, the check for $45,000 to our fourth place finisher, the Blade, Dexter Jackson.
Ageless.
Absolutely incredible what Dexter continues to do. And with that fourth place finish, I got to tell you, this guy's probably going to be back next year. It's hard to walk away on top. I left on my final two Olympias was in 2000, 2001 in fourth place, and I was done. I think Dexter has just got validation that he's still got more gas in the tank, and he will be 50 if he comes back next year.
You can't be disappointed with a fourth place. That's remarkable.
Randy will take the third place award, the check for $100,000, the Olympia bronze medal, to our third place finisher, Hadi Chupin.
Wow.
There it is. Hadi Chupin in his very first Mr. Olympia winds up getting third place, the bronze medal, which is definitely a victory for him. But again, we were talking, Neil, about William improving a little bit more than the other day. So is this a valid, justifiable position for Hadi Chupin?
Yes, I think it's apples and oranges, different physiques.
And how about a hand for the
Different physiques. I feel that Hadi's brought a level of conditioning and fullness. And
if I can have both presenters on stage, please.
All right, Jake.
Jake Wood presenting the second place award. Dan Solomon, Chief Olympia Officer, along with Jim Mannion, IFBB Pro League President, will present the first place award.
Jake Wood from Wings of Strength. Dan Solomon doing a great job this year in the first year as his Chief Olympia Officer.
William Bonac with gas in the tank. He could upset the apple cart
The
here.
next name you hear will be our 2019 Mr. Olympia. And new Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry.
Well, there you have it, fans. Brandon Curry is your 2019 Mr. Olympia, the 15th in our 55-year history.
Brandon Curry doing exactly what he said he was going to do when he won the Arnold Classic, which was come to Las Vegas and win the Mr. Olympia. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And he did just that. And William Bonac surprised a lot of people here tonight, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, every single one of those athletes has to walk away being happy with what they've achieved as far as their places
Here, because all of these guys can take turns in the next 3 to 4 years winning this championship.
That really would be fun to have that kind of openness every year to battle it out for the top spots.
And just remember, William, Hattie, Brandon, and Rolly, they're still young in the industry.
That's right, absolutely. And they got a lot of gas left in their tank. And we could be seeing these guys for a while until some of these newer, younger guys catch up with their maturity. But right now, Brandon Curry stands $400,000 richer for the effort and has joined a fraternity of 14 legendary bodybuilders. He will forever be remembered in the annals of bodybuilding by the acquisition of this Sandow trophy in the 55th year of the Joe Weider Mr. Olympia weekend.
How about a big hand for your runner-up, William Bonac?
And you can clearly see on Brandon's face that he ain't surprised. He put in the work,
Brandon,
and this is
let's
what
put
he
that
expected.
Big fat check right down on the ground. Gentlemen, your favorite pose, please.
Yep. I'll be seeing Brandon Curry in a couple weeks as he's guest posing for the first time as Mr. Olympia at the Daytona Beach Classic.
And then right after that, I believe November the 2nd.
She pushed me out the door, you know, even though she didn't want to. She pushed me out the door and said, go do it. Go chase your dreams. She told me in high school, she's like, you need to be a bodybuilder. I was like, I don't want to be on those stage and pose in trunks and oils, but she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. So, like I said, much love to you, babe.
Yeah, well, your babe's right back here. Come on up, everybody. And what a great weekend we had. Folks, that's going to wrap things up here on the Olympia stage for another record-setting year. I'm Bob Ciccarello. Good night, everybody.